Hello, my name is Prathik T, and this is my video of how I would explain, how I would teach a subject to a student that is struggling in it. And yeah, so the subject I'm going to be explaining today is about basic derivatives and how to compute a basic derivative. I feel like this is a pretty somewhat complicated subject that you have to learn, especially in calculus when you start off, but it does get easier as long as you practice. Um, so I just want to explain what basic derivatives are and the different rules that are part that you might have to use when computing a derivative. So the three basic rules, you'll learn them in the future, but I kind of just want to give you a brief overview about what they are. So the first one is the product rule, when you would have to find the derivative of equation where there are two different functions multiplied by each other, one being f of x and the other one being g of x. In this scenario, you'd have to find the derivative of this equation when you have two different equations, if that makes sense. The second one will be the quotient rule, where you would have to find the derivative of this form of this equation when you have two different parts of the equation, f of x and g of x, divided by each other. And the last one will be the chain rule, where you would have to find the derivative of when there's an equation inside of another equation. So it would be like f of g of x. But that will be later down the line when you, right now I just want to teach you how to compute a basic derivative. So, how to compute a basic derivative of just one function. Let's say, so you have f of x, right? You just have f of x, and you just want to find the derivative of just f of x. You're not having no other g of x or no other different equations. You just want to find the derivative of f of x, which is f prime. Oh, it's kind of hard to do actually. Where you try to find the derivative of f of x. This apostrophe mark is the sign of a derivative. So, how to find the basic derivative? To keep it simply, I'll show you a formula, kind of like a cheat sheet you can use. Not like a cheat sheet, but like a trick you can use to find derivatives pretty easily. This is how I kind of computed how to find derivatives pretty easily. And it just comes with practice also. So say you have f of x equals ax to the n plus bx to the n plus c prime. Okay, so say you have the equation f of x equals ax to the n exponent plus bx to the n exponent plus c. Your derivative would be simple. You would bring your exponent to the front. You would bring whatever the power of exponent is to the front, and you would multiply it by the constant in front of the variable. So it would be n times a, and you would multiply that by the variable x, and you would subtract 1 from the exponent, n minus 1, plus b, so this is your second constant, times n, you would bring your n to the front, times x minus x to the n minus 1, plus 0, because c does not have a variable in it. And if it doesn't have a variable in it, the derivative of a constant is always 0. Yeah, if you just remember that, it'll be pretty easy. But alright, now what I would do is I would give them examples. I find the best way to understand a concept is just by doing practice problems, especially in math. It's all about repetition. So being able to solve a problem very fast just comes by repeating the process very quickly to where it's like drilled in your mind. So let's start with a problem. Say your f of x equals 6x squared plus 2x plus 3. Alright, let's say f of x equals 6x squared plus 2x plus 3. your derivative, f prime x. So your derivative, all right, your derivative, you would bring, just like in the last one, you would bring this to the front. So it would be 2 times 6, which is 12. And you would do x, your variable, and you would do your power 2, which is 2, minus 1, which is just 1. So x to the 1 is just 1. So you can just leave it like that, 12x. You would plus 2x. Say it's like 2, since x is just, there's no power, it's just 1. So you say you like have a 1 there. You would bring that to the front, multiply that by 2, which is just 2. 2 times 1 is 2. 2. And you do x minus 1. So since the power is 1, you do 1 minus 1, which equals 0. And x to the 0 is just 1. So 2 times 1 is just 2. So you just leave 2. Plus, and since this is a constant, it would just be 0. As I told you earlier, that the derivative of a constant is always 0. So it would just be plus 0. So your final derivative of f of x equals 12x plus 2. Yep, that's pretty much it. That's how you would find the derivative of a basic function. And yeah, the way I would do it is I would just give them a bunch of practice problems to help them find basic derivatives. And as that gets more fluid, then we can move on to learning different advances such as the product rule, the quotient rule, and the chain rule. And it's pretty much just all practice, so I would try to help my best, how I would help you to just guide you through practice problems. And that's pretty much it. Thank you.